Have you ever woken up feeling like your body is 2 steps behind your mind? Like you've just slept for 7, maybe 8 hours, and yet your joints ache, your thoughts feel cloudy, and you're already tired before the day even begins? You're not alone. So many people over 60 wake up every day thinking, well, I guess this is just what getting old feels like. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be that way? What if your first 5 minutes after waking could determine not just how your day goes, but how your body ages, how sharp your mind stays, and even how long you live? You don't need to spend hours in the gym or take a dozen supplements. You don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. and meditate on a mountaintop. Though that does sound peaceful, doesn't it? No, the truth is much simpler. In fact, just 5 minutes each morning, 5 mindful, intentional minutes, can be your secret weapon against decline and your key to vitality. In this video, I want to share with you 5 morning habits, simple rituals backed by both science and ancient wisdom that can help you feel stronger, think clearer, and move through your day with more energy and confidence. These habits aren't complicated, and they don't require fancy equipment. All they need is your attention, your consistency, and your belief that you still have the power to change. So let's begin, right at the moment your eyes open. There's a woman I know named Judith. She's 72 years old, lives in Michigan, and has the sweetest garden you've ever seen. A few years back, she told me something that stuck with me. She said, "I don't drink water when I wake up. I don't feel thirsty." Now, if that sounds familiar, you're in good company. Most people over 60 don't realize they're waking up already dehydrated. While we sleep, our bodies lose water through our breath, our skin, just from being alive. And what's the first thing many of us reach for in the morning? A hot cup of coffee. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my coffee. But coffee is a diuretic. It pulls more water out of your body right when you're already running low. And that thickened blood? It makes your heart work harder. That's one reason heart attacks are more common in the early morning hours, especially for older adults. So what did Judith do when she learned this? She made one tiny change. Each morning, before her coffee, before breakfast, she started drinking a glass of room temperature water with a little fresh lemon juice. Nothing fancy, just water and a slice of lemon. After a few weeks, she told me her morning headaches had disappeared. Her digestion improved. Her skin felt less dry. And the best part? She said she felt more awake, even before that first sip of coffee. You see, that water is more than just hydration. It's a message to your body. It says, "I'm awake now. I'm ready." The lemon, it gives your liver a little boost to flush out the waste it's been filtering all night. It gently wakes up your digestive system and gets your body moving in the right direction, without any crash, without any pills. So tomorrow, just try it. 1 glass of room temperature water. A squeeze of lemon. Sip it slowly. Let it be the first kindness you give your body each day. Not because it's trendy, but because it works. Now that you've hydrated, let's talk about something even more subtle, but just as powerful. Movement. I want to introduce you to someone else. George. He's 68, a retired firefighter from Arizona, and one of the most disciplined people I've ever met. But even George, with all his years of fitness, used to skip right past what I'm about to tell you. You see, George used to roll out of bed, stumble to the kitchen, and try to wake up over his first cup of black coffee. But one morning, after standing too fast, he felt dizzy. He reached for the counter and barely caught himself. It scared him. Not because he got hurt, but because he realized how fragile the mornings had become. That's when he learned about the power of a 1-minute reset. Just 60 seconds of mindful movement before stepping away from the bed. Not a workout, not a stretch class, just a slow awakening of the body. He began each morning by planting his feet on the floor, shoulder-width apart. He raised his arms up with a deep inhale, then slowly lowered them down with an exhale. He rolled his shoulders back 5 times, then forward. He gently turned his neck from side to side. And finally, he did 10 slow heel raises, lifting his heels off the floor, then lowering them again. "That's it," he told me. "And I feel 10 years younger every time." It's not about exercise. It's about awakening your blood flow, resetting your balance, and letting your brain catch up with your body. These little movements tell your nervous system, we're good. We're stable. We're ready. Especially as we get older, balance becomes more than a luxury. It becomes our foundation. A moment of dizziness can mean a fall. A fall can mean a fracture. And a fracture? That can change everything. But it doesn't have to. Just 60 seconds of gentle movement helps bring oxygen to your brain, signals your muscles to activate, and gets your day started not with stress, but with grace. George hasn't missed a morning since. He swears by it. And honestly, so do I. Hydration. Movement. These two alone can set the tone for your entire day. They are quiet acts of power, small but deeply meaningful. They remind us that even as the world moves faster and faster, we can choose to begin each day with purpose and presence. Now, your body is hydrated. Your blood is flowing. But there's one more thing your body needs, especially now, after 60. You may not feel it, but something silent is happening inside. A slow, gradual breakdown of muscle tissue. It's called catabolism, and it's a natural process that happens when the body doesn't get fuel after fasting overnight. Here's the good news. It's entirely preventable. Let me tell you about Irene. She's 75, lives in Oregon, and walks every morning with her small terrier named Muffin. For years, she skipped breakfast. Not because she didn't want it, but because she believed eating early would make her feel heavy or sluggish. Then she started having trouble going upstairs. Her doctor mentioned muscle loss, and it shook her. So she made a shift. Nothing extreme. Just a simple addition to her morning routine, a small protein shake. Some mornings it was a spoonful of Greek yogurt with protein powder. Other times, a couple of boiled eggs or even almond butter on toast. The point wasn't to eat a full breakfast, it was to feed her muscles, early and intentionally. And the difference? Remarkable. Her energy went up. Her strength returned. Her cravings later in the day went down. Even her mental clarity improved. Irene told me, "I didn't realize how much I was starving my body until I stopped doing it." That's the truth for many of us. After 60, our protein needs actually increase, not decrease. We need to protect what keeps us upright, mobile, and independent. Just a small portion of clean protein within 30 minutes of waking can help prevent muscle loss, balance blood sugar, and sharpen your focus. So tomorrow morning, after your water, after your gentle movement, give your body what it's asking for. Not a big meal, just a little something to say, "I'm here to support you." Because you are. You are still in command of your body, your choices, your health. And these small rituals, water, movement, nourishment, they're not chores. They're gifts. And they're your opportunity to take back control, one mindful moment at a time. I want you to imagine this. You've hydrated, moved your body gently, and fed it something nourishing. You're already feeling more grounded than usual, maybe even a little proud. But before you launch into the rest of your day, before the chores, the errands, the calls, you pause. Because there's something else waiting for your attention, something often overlooked. It's not your muscles, not your digestion, not even your heart. It's your joints. Now, that might not sound exciting, but hear me out. There's a man I once met named Carl. He's 74 and a retired school bus driver from Georgia. Carl's always been an active guy. He doesn't mind mowing his lawn or fixing things around the house. But a few years ago, he started noticing something strange. Every morning, when he stood up, his knees felt stiff. His hips made clicking sounds. His shoulders didn't quite want to rotate the way they used to. He shrugged it off at first. "Just aging," he'd say. Until one morning, while bending down to tie his shoes, he felt a sharp pain shoot through his lower back. It lingered all day. And the next, that's when he started to worry. His doctor told him it wasn't anything serious, no injury, no arthritis, but it was a sign, a warning that his joints were drying out. You see, during sleep, the fluid that lubricates our joints, called synovial fluid, thickens. Think of it like cold honey. It needs a little warmth and movement to loosen back up. But if you go straight from lying down to full-on activity without warming up your joints, you're asking them to perform under pressure. And that can lead to inflammation, pain, even damage over time. So Carl made a decision. He gave his joints just 90 seconds of love every morning. That's it, less than 2 minutes. He started by sitting on the edge of his bed and rolling his ankles, 10 slow circles each way. Then he gently rotated his knees while seated. He stood up carefully, holding onto a chair for balance, and twisted his torso left and right. A few side bends, a few shoulder rolls, and finally, a deep breath in. That was his joint ritual. And let me tell you, after a few weeks, he felt like he'd oiled up the Tin Man. No more stiffness, no more hesitation when bending down, and most importantly, no more fear of sudden pain stealing his freedom. Mobility is something most people don't think about until they lose it. But it's the difference between walking confidently and grabbing for a cane, between independence and needing someone else's arm to steady you. Carl told me, "It's like saying thank you to my body every morning, for showing up, for getting me through another night, and for carrying me into another day." So if your hips creak, if your back feels tight, or your knees don't quite trust you anymore, give them a moment. Give them motion. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just a minute or two of gentle rotation, a breath here, a stretch there, and your body will respond like a friend who's been waiting patiently to be acknowledged. These first 4 rituals, hydration, movement, nourishment, mobility, form the physical foundation of your day. They give you strength, balance, protection. But we're not just bodies, are we? We're memories, emotions, stories. And that brings us to the 5th and final morning habit, one that doesn't feed the muscles or joints, but instead feeds something even more sacred, your mind. I'd like you to meet Teresa. She's 69, lives in upstate New York, and was once a librarian. Soft-spoken, loves crossword puzzles, and used to journal every night before bed. But after her husband passed, something shifted. Mornings felt empty. Days blurred together. And slowly, she began to notice she'd forget small things. What she'd eaten the day before, a neighbor's name, where she left her keys. Now some of that is normal, especially with grief. But Teresa, being who she is, didn't want to let it slide. She went looking for answers, not in pills, but in habits. And that's when she discovered something neuroscientists call cognitive reserve. It's like a savings account for your brain. The more you build it up, the more protected your memory and thinking are as you age. And one simple way to build it? Mental recall. So every morning, before she checks her phone or turns on the TV, Teresa sits quietly in her favorite chair, closes her eyes, and retraces her steps from the day before. But here's the twist. She does it backwards. She starts with the last thing she remembers from the evening and works her way back through the day. What did I eat for dinner? Who did I talk to on the phone? What color was the sky when I went outside? How did I feel this morning when I woke up yesterday? Sometimes it takes a minute, sometimes 3, but she's not trying to be perfect. She's just practicing presence. And what's happened since she began? She's sharper, more grounded. She remembers details more easily. And perhaps most beautifully, she feels connected to her own life again. Mental clarity isn't just about avoiding memory loss. It's about honoring the days you've lived so they don't slip away unnoticed. It's about telling your brain you still matter. Your thoughts still count. You're still here. That's the power of this final ritual. It's not about solving puzzles or memorizing facts. It's about slowing down long enough to remember you're alive. That yesterday happened. That it held color and sound and people and feelings. And that today deserves just as much attention. So sit, close your eyes, breathe, and walk backward through your day, not to dwell, not to judge, but to remember. Because remembering keeps us rooted. It keeps us human. Each of these rituals, body, mind, spirit, asks for only a few moments. But their impact stretches across hours, days, even years. They're not routines. They're invitations. Invitations to live more fully, more mindfully, and yes, more joyfully. You may not be able to change everything overnight, but you can change how you begin. And sometimes, the way you begin changes everything. So now here you are. You've given your body water, your muscles a stretch, your cells the fuel they need, your joints a wake-up call, and your mind a gentle sweep through memory. And you may be thinking, that's it? That's all I have to do? Yes, that's the beauty of it. No 30-day challenge. No expensive routines. No pressure to be perfect. Just 5 quiet moments of self-respect, of checking in, of choosing not to let your age define your vitality. You see, for many of us, growing older has been painted as a slow unraveling. Little by little, we're told to expect less of ourselves, to slow down, to let go of dreams, to shrink our worlds into smaller and smaller boxes. But what if the opposite were true? What if this stage of life, your 60s, 70s, even 80s, was not a time of shrinking, but of deepening? A time to grow wiser, move with intention, and claim ownership of your days? There's a kind of power that only comes with age. The power of knowing what matters. Of knowing what you won't waste your time on anymore. Of knowing that each morning you open your eyes is a gift, one that not everyone gets. And so these 5 morning rituals become something more than habits. They become a kind of daily ceremony, not because someone told you to do them, but because they remind you, I'm still here. I still matter. I still have something to give. You don't need to do them all at once. You don't need to get them perfect. Maybe tomorrow morning, all you do is drink a glass of water. Or maybe you just take 1 minute to move your shoulders and feel your breath. That's enough. That's a beginning. And beginnings have incredible power. I've seen it over and over again. Men and women in their 60s, 70s, and beyond who started small. One morning, one ritual. And from there, a shift began. They stood taller. They laughed more. Their minds felt sharper. Their sleep deeper. They started walking more, calling friends more, even cooking again. Not because they were chasing youth, but because they were honoring life. You don't have to run marathons. You don't have to be anyone else but you. But you do deserve to feel well. To move through your day with less stiffness, more clarity, more strength. And those 5 minutes, they can get you there. I'll never forget what Helen, a 78-year-old from Colorado, told me after a few months of doing these rituals. She said, "You know, I don't feel like I've reversed time. I feel like I've re-entered it. Like I'm part of my day again, not just passing through it." Isn't that what we all want? Not to chase what's behind us, but to fully live what's right here in front of us. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, before you reach for your phone, before the news, before the world starts pulling at your attention, pause, stand tall, drink slowly, move gently, eat with intention. Remember, with gratitude. These 5 acts, they're not small. They are sacred. They are the foundation of everything else you'll do that day. And done consistently, they don't just improve your morning, they protect your future. You may never know the moment a fall didn't happen because your joints were warm, or the moment a heart attack was prevented because your blood was hydrated, or the moment memory loss was delayed because your brain was engaged. But you will feel it. in how you move, how you think, how you show up. And if there's one thing I hope you take from this video, it's this. You are not here just to survive these years. You are here to thrive in them, with peace, with strength, with wisdom. So start small. Start soft. But start. Let this morning, this very next one, be the first of many where you take those 5 minutes and give them back to yourself. You've spent a lifetime caring for others, raising families, building careers, showing up for everyone around you. Now show up for yourself, because your health, your energy, your joy, they're not behind you. They're waiting. Right at the edge of your pillow, in the very first light of day. And if this video helped you feel a little more hopeful, a little more empowered, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts or your own morning habits in the comments below. Let's make this a space where we lift each other up. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Strong Elderly Life for more tips, support, and encouragement as you navigate this powerful season of life. This channel is here for you, and because of you. Here's to waking up strong. Here's to mornings that matter. And here's to living your best life at any age.